Hey guys, Sarak here. Today I'm going to bring you a Spright deck profile. Now, Spright got reprinted recently in the Terminal Revenge set and is now really cheap. The only expensive card in the set is SP Little Knight. You can of course play the deck without it, but I highly recommend having a copy as it goes in literally every other deck. So let's get into the profile. Firstly, we have 3 copies of Spright Blue. Blue can be special summoned if you control a level or rank 2 monster. And if it is special summoned, you get to search one Spright monster from your deck to your hand. Spright Jack searches a Spright spell and trap card. We then have Spright Red that summons itself if you control a level or link 2 monster and negates monster effects at the cost of tributing a level, rank or link 2 monster, and then it destroys the card if you tributed an extra deck monster. Spright Carrot has the same summoning condition as Spright Red, and interacts with spell and trap cards effects the way that Red interacts with monster effects. So you see this forms a very nice tight resource loop that allows you to constantly search and disrupt your opponent's plays. We then have 3 copies of Nimble Beaver, which on normal summoning, special summons a level 3 or lower Nimble monster from your deck. This will get us Nimble Angler, which if it goes from the hand or deck to the graveyard, can summon 2 level 3 Nimble monsters from your deck, except itself. So you can Mill Angler, summon 2 beavers, or summon a beaver and summon Angler. 3 copies of Swap Frog. Swap Frog can be summoned from the hand by discarding one other water monster, like your Nimble cards. When it's summoned, you can send a level 2 or lower water aqua monster from your deck or field to the graveyard, and then once per turn you can return a monster you control to the hand and gain an additional normal summon of a frog monster during your main phase. This is a really flexible card, and its main effect is for the dump effect, and it gives us access to Totally Awesome. Our Swap Frog target is Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier. Ignore its on-field effect, we're essentially never using this because we don't play Synchro monsters. The main thing we want is the fact that if this card goes to the graveyard, we can search an Ice Barrier card from our deck to our hand, and that gets us Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, which we'll speak about a little bit later. For our hand traps, we're playing 3 Ash Blossom to stop searching, 3 Droll Lockbird to hopefully end the turn against any decks that do lots and lots of searching, 3 Effect Veiler for effect monster negation, and 3 Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. For our spell cards, we're playing 1 Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, which is a monster reborn for Ice Barriers, allowing us access to the Mirror Mage, which we sent off our Swap Frog, 1 Pot of Prosperity to fix our draws, 1 Spright Smashers as removal, 3 Spright Starter as, you guessed it, a starter for the deck, 3 Infinite Impermanence for negation, and 1 Spright Double Cross as another form of targeted interruption. For the extra deck, we play 2 Gigantic Spright, which can Xyz summon itself using a Link 2 monster as material, and it doubles its attack if it has an extra deck monster as material. During the main phase, you can detach a material from any monster you control, doesn't have to be itself, summon a level 2 from the deck, and it will lock both players into level 2 rank 2 or link 2 monsters for the rest of the turn as part of the effect. Note it detaches as part of the effect, and it also will stop your opponent Nibiruing you after you have activated this effect. For our other rank 2s, we play 1 Herald of Pure Light, which gets us a monster back from the graveyard at the cost of shuffling a card from the hand into the deck, 1 Mannequin Cat, which allows us to steal cards from our opponent's graveyard, or summon monsters with the same type and attribute from the deck, 1 Ninja Shadow Mosquito, which breaks any Tempire player's brain by being unable to be destroyed by battle and being unable to deal damage involving it, and then has a nice burn condition. 1 Onibimaru Soul Sweeper, which allows us to temporarily banish a monster your opponent controls, and then if it's destroyed by a card effect, you can shuffle banished monsters into the deck. 1 Sky Cavalry Centauria, which cannot be destroyed by battle when it has material, and if it battles a monster you can detach a material from it and return that monster to the hand. Really good for making Zeus, and also another card that Tempire players may not be able to out with specific hands. 1 Totally Awesome as a nice Omni-Negate, 1 Downerd Magician and 1 Zeus. Downerd just goes on top of anything and then we make Zeus on top of that for an extra material. For our Link monsters, we play 2 copies of Spright Sprint, which when it's Link summoned allows us to send a level 2 monster from the deck to the graveyard, and if another monster is special summoned while it's on the field, you can detach material from an Xyz monster you control and then bounce a monster on the field to the hand. We play 1 IP Masquerena as a level 2 quick link, we play 1 SP Little Knight as a banish when it's summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz or Link monster. It lets you banish any card in the field or graveyard, but it locks you from attacking directly, and then when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can target 2 face-up monsters and banish both until the end phase. If you cannot afford Little Knight, I recommend replacing this with a Nightmare Unicorn or a Nightmare Cerberus. However, Little Knight is by far the most powerful option, and it goes in every deck, so you have a copy once you've bought it, and you only have to buy it once. Our final extra deck monster is one Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Spright can easily put 4 bodies on the battlefield, and then it's very easy to link 5 after that, and get rid of a problematic monster that way. So, here's the basic 1-card Spright combo using just a copy of Spright Starter. We use Spright Starter to get a copy of Spright Blue, and then Spright Blue searches us a copy of Spright Jet. We then use Jet to get any of our Spright spells and traps. I've chosen Double Cross here. And then we link Blue and Jet off into Spright Sprint. We use Sprint to send Nimble Angler from deck to graveyard, which summons 2 Nimble Beavers from the deck. We then overlay the Sprint and the Beaver into Gigantic Spright, and then we use Gigantic Spright to summon a copy of Swap Frog from the deck. Swap Frog sends the Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier from deck to graveyard, which searches Freezing Chains, and we can then use Freezing Chains to summon back the Mirror Mage. We overlay the Frog and the Mirror Mage to make Totally Awesome, and then we link off our final 2 monsters into IP Masquerena. So that's the Spright deck itself. Generally, it's a very, very consistent deck. It has a relatively easy time to pick it up and play. The line's very simple. None of your effects are overly complex. So it's a really good deck to start off with, as well as being nice and cheap. I hope you enjoyed the profile, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.